Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk is live and direct on a Monday. We are back from the weekend, and we are with you for the next hour and a half on the sports voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. However, wherever, whenever you're catching the program today, thank you so much for being a part of the audience here on 580 Sports Talk. My name is Dan Lucero. It'll be mostly me today because it's a short one. We are out at 4:30 today for Royals baseball. The Royals in Cleveland for the first of a three-game set, a 5:10 Central Time first pitch. Now, that was the scheduled time for Tuesday's game as well, but that has been changed. That has been changed because apparently it's going to be miserable cold in Cleveland tomorrow night. So they're going to play a day game tomorrow instead. So instead of a 5:10 first pitch, it'll be a 12:10 first pitch. And instead of an hour and a half of 580 Sports Talk tomorrow, you get a full 3 hours of 580 Sports Talk, or maybe a little shortened at the front end, but you get us until 6. I was kind of looking forward to being home an hour and a half earlier than usual. That's kind of nice with the kiddo at home, and it's around when my wife gets off work. But we all make adjustments. So I'm not going to complain about getting to hang out with you guys until 6 o'clock tomorrow. So that is what is going on tomorrow. But tonight, no change in the schedule. It's a 4:30 pregame start on the Royals Baseball Network here on 580 WIBW, and a 5:10 first pitch as the Royals try to get back to 500 after dropping 2 out of 3 over the weekend to the Milwaukee Brewers. In the short time we have together, we'll jam a lot into this 90 minutes of sports talk, including some discussion of this start to the season for the Royals. And I don't think we've seen anything yet from the Royals through 9 games. You'd like the record to be better. You'd like better than 4-5. But I don't see anything to throw up an early red flag about. Well, maybe other than Carlos Estevez, but that was a red flag back in March. And he's obviously not with the team right now on the injured list. So aside from that, I don't see any red flags. In fact, there's one part of the team that's actually maybe working better than you realize through the first 9 games of the campaign. Might not feel like it's working, but it is. And we'll get into that. We'll look ahead to tonight's matchup against the Guardians, first of 3 against the AL Central rivals from Cleveland. We'll also talk some college basketball in case you've missed it. Kansas's entire front court is in the portal. As of today, Bryson Tiller, Paul Mbia joining Flory Badunga in the transfer portal for Kansas. Elmarco Jackson has also joined them. Again, this is not official portal entry because the portal doesn't open until tomorrow, but this is intent to enter the transfer portal, if we want to be correct semantically speaking. But Kansas is going to have to build a front court from scratch, and we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll look at some other departures from Kansas State as well. And we'll look ahead to tonight's national championship game. We're going to crown a national champion in men's basketball, Michigan and UConn. In Indianapolis, I went 0 for 2 on my semifinal picks. Gave you Illinois and Arizona. Illinois lost a game of 3-point roulette. That is what it is. Arizona got their brains beaten in. Holy Moses. That was as impressive a performance as you'll see in a national semifinal from Michigan. Do they have another one in them with Yaxel Lendeborg moving around with one intact MCL? I guess we'll find out tonight. And if you'd like to listen along to that national championship game, you can catch that action on our sister station tonight, the Big 94.5 Country. We had the semifinals on Saturday over there. We have the championship game there tonight. If you want to listen to Kevin Kugler and the Westwood One broadcast of the national championship game, it will be on our sister station, the Big 94.5 Country, because obviously we've got Royals baseball here tonight on 580 WIBW. So we got baseball, we got some college hoops, and of course, because it's a Monday, we'll talk some football. Matt Verderame will join us. First time in a couple of weeks we've talked to Matt. He didn't join us last week. He was at the owners' meetings. So we'll get his take on what he experienced down there and looking at some other NFL news and notes with Matt. That's coming up at the bottom of this 3 o'clock hour. Matt Verderame, our NFL insider from Sports Illustrated and SI.com. We'll also give you the good, the bad, the ugly from the weekend that was on this shortened edition of 580 Sports Talk. We'd love to hear from you as the show goes on today. You can get at us in the live chat on our YouTube stream. If you're watching the program on our YouTube channel today, 580 Sports Talk is the name of the channel. Hop in that live chat. Say hello. I see Ryan, Mark H., Vance, Christopher already into the chat today. Appreciate you guys being in on this Monday. Hope you all had a great weekend and look forward to hearing from more of you. Again, you can always join the chat when we are broadcasting live. If we're on the air on the radio, we are also on video on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Go subscribe. Go check it out if you've never done it before. Subscribing doesn't cost you anything but a click. And you can join the fray in the YouTube live chat as well. You can also text the program at 785-272-9429, 785-272-9429. And it is noteworthy, that number, because, well, right now, we're giving away some money, and you're going to want to know what that number is. It was win $1K a day. We're giving away $1,000 a day, and all you've got to do is listen for the keywords between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m., and then text the keyword to 785-272-9429. Again, 785-272-9429. Text the program, the keyword, you will be entered for a chance to win $1,000. We're doing it every day for a month. Every day for the next 4 weeks here on 580 WIBW. It's your shot to win big with your friends here at 580 WIBW. And this hour's keyword, again, text this keyword to 785-272-9429. Anytime within this hour, this 3 o'clock hour, the keyword for this hour is party. Party. P-A-R-T-Y. Party. Text that word, nothing else, just that word, party, to 785. You can tell I got a cold. I'm a little thin in the vocal cords today. The word is party. P-A-R-T-Y. Text that word, party, to 785-272-9429, and you will be entered for a chance to win $1,000. We'll give you another keyword in the 4 o'clock hour. One per hour. Don't text party 75 times. That gives you 75 entries. That's not how it works. One text per keyword per hour. You have until the end of this 3 o'clock hour to text this hour's keyword, party, to 785-272-9429. You can also just text the show, too. You can text the keyword, and then you can turn around and you can text me, that bum Chris Bubich is off to a terrible start, or whatever you want to talk about today. Get at us on the text line. We love to hear from you on that text line, 785-272-9429. But let's get into the sports of it, shall we? The Royals, with their first, what I thought would be big test of the year against a playoff team from last season at home, and the Royals dropped 2 out of 3 at the K on the weekend to the Brewers. Split the doubleheader on Saturday. Luinder Avila made 2 mistakes that the Royals couldn't overcome in the opener, but they put together a 6-run rally in the 6th in the nightcap to get the split. How about my guy Eli Morgan on Saturday? I tried to tell you, he's going to help the big club this year. That's my guy. For those who aren't aware, got a family connection to Eli Morgan, the Royals reliever on the 40-man. Right now, I guess he's the Omaha Storm Chasers reliever, as he was sent back down. He was the extra man for the doubleheader, and he was dynamite. Earned the 3-inning save on Saturday. That was one of my favorite things, certainly, that I saw this weekend. Eli coming up and making a really good first impression in his Royals debut. So the Royals ended up with the split on Saturday, and then yesterday's game was frustrating. That's one of those, the old cliche is, if you break the season down into thirds, right? 54 games, you're going to win no matter what, unless you're the 2024 White Sox or 2025 Rockies. 54 games you're going to win no matter what. 54 games you're going to lose no matter what, I guess, unless you're like the 2001 Mariners. And it's the 54 in the middle that kind of determine what kind of season you have. Yesterday's game kind of felt like one of those 54 for the Royals. Very frustrating game. Chris Bubich was iffy out of the gate, put the Royals behind. Royals got close. Every time they would get close, they would make an out on the base paths. Bobby Witt Jr. getting thrown out trying to score on a Vinny Pasquantino single. Tyler Tolbert pinch running, getting picked off in the eighth. Can't happen. Cannot happen. They keep trying to make Tyler Tolbert into this team's like Gerard Dyson, Terrence Gore, like the X factor on the bases late in games. And he's just, he's fast. He is fast. And honest to goodness, certainly a better hitter than the late Terrence Gore was. Like the better option, like you leave him in the game, he could come up with a hit for you if he needs to take an at bat, and a little bit more positional versatility. So it's not apples to apples, but they keep trying to make him happen as this X factor pinch runner. And I just don't think he's that good a base runner. He really relies on his speed. I just don't think his instincts on the bases are as sharp as those guys. And I mean, those guys were special at what it was that they did. That's a tough comparison, but frustrating to see that happen. It's a one-run game. The thing that can't happen is if you're the tying run, you get thrown out on the bases. So the Royals make two big outs on the bases that could have been the tying run. And then the bullpen, the back end of the bullpen really had their first bumpy ride of the year. I'm talking about the currently constructed back end of the bullpen. Matt Strahm gave up a couple of runs. Lucas Erceg gave up a couple of runs, although Erceg was a little hard done by to give up that second run on that little blooper in the center off the bat of Brandon Lockridge. Lane Thomas looked like he got a bit of a late break, didn't quite get to that ball, tried to make a sliding catch, couldn't bring it in. I think that's a play Kyle Isbell probably makes, but Lane Thomas did not out there in center field. And so it was that the Royals ended up behind 3 going into the ninth instead of behind just 1 with 9-1-2 coming to the plate. And there was no rally, and the end result was an 8-5 loss. But with the Royals sitting at 4-5 going to Cleveland and starting that 3-game series tonight, if you entered this season, as I did, believing that these Royals ultimately will go as their pitching goes, that has pretty much been the case through their first 9 games. When the pitching hasn't been good enough, the Royals haven't won. There have been 3 dud starts from the Royals so far this season. Reagan's on opening day, Avila on the opener on Saturday, Bubich yesterday. Royals are 0-3 when their starting pitcher turns out a stinker. The other 2 losses this year, obviously you had the Carlos Estevez game. That's definitely going to be one of those 54 that determine how this season goes for the Royals. You can put it in that third 54 game column. I just know it. The loss to Minnesota, the 5-1 loss on getaway day for the Twins on Thursday, that's kind of a weird one because the starting pitching was good enough to win. Schreiber gave up a late run that made it 2-0, and obviously Cruz gave up the 3 home runs in the ninth. It was another opportunity, could have been, for the Royals to be down by 1 with 3 outs to go, try to make something happen in the bottom of the ninth, and the bullpen couldn't keep it there. So there have been a couple of instances like that. Those would be the games that the Royals have lost when they have, or 2 games that the Royals have lost this year. One of them, you called yesterday a team effort, just poor on the mound. But that one loss with on Thursday was really the only one so far this year where the Royals have gotten, that good start, and there's not enough offense to back it in regulation. And maybe that's why, anecdotally, the Royals' offense has felt frustrating so far. They haven't really picked up the pitching staff yet. It's hard to categorize the wet game on Wednesday, right? They won that game 13-9, but it was 12-1. That's not really one of those where the offense picked up the pitching. The pitching was fine until it started raining, and you got guys trying to do mop-up work in the rain. And this wasn't ideal, and the Twins made a game of it, but chuck that game in the trash. Thank goodness the Royals won it. I don't think you can learn anything or draw any conclusions from how that game went. Broadly speaking, though, when the Royals have lost games, the offense has not been able to pick up a struggling pitcher, whether that was a starter or whether that was a reliever. It also doesn't help matters that the two worst offensive players everyday players for the Royals so far have been Vinny Pasquantino and Bobby Witt Jr. Just in terms of their production so far, those have been the two worst bats in the Royals lineup. And I'm just going to tell you that's not going to continue. I know. Bold of me to say such a thing. I am the only one brave enough to say that established good big league hitters will not spend 162 games mired in the kind of slumps that Vinny and Bobby have been in to date. Neither has been good. And Pasquantino's at least got the 5 runs driven in, but he's hitting just 206 with a 235 slug, just one extra base hit. That's one more than Bobby Witt Jr. has. In his first 39 plate appearances this year, he's got 8 hits, no extra base hits as of yet. Those trends are not going to continue. Maybe that's what it is, that the offense feels like it's underwhelmed or the offense feels like it has been frustrating. But you go look at the numbers. The Royals' offense so far has been fine. Certainly isn't the reason that they're under 500 as of right now. Both of the major offensive metrics that I would refer to on this show, one is OPS plus from Baseball Reference. The other is weighted runs created plus, WRC plus from Fangraphs. Both of those metrics have the Royals above average. If 100 is average, Royals have a 104 weighted runs created plus and a 107 OPS plus. So 4% and 7% above average. Now, that's not dramatically above average, but it is above average, and it puts the Royals in a good spot offensively. And again, that is with 2 of your very best hitters not pulling their weight so far. Like Maikel Garcia's been terrific. Jack Caglione has contributed. Carter Jensen, Salvador Perez have had a little bit of pop. Obviously, Kyle Isbell's off to a great start. Like, those are the guys that are kind of floating the offense right now. So you would assume as Kyle Isbell backs up a bit, because he's not going to hit 478 all year. I hate to tell you. Hate to tell my pal Fulton Caster, the progenitor of the Kyle Isbell agenda. He's not going to hit 478 all year. But as those guys back up a little bit, you're going to see more from Vinny. You're going to see more from Bobby. And it's going to balance out. And I do think this team does have a chance to be on above average offense throughout the year. And that's where they've been, even if it hasn't felt like that. Some of that, too, I think, is performance with runners in scoring position. Like, are you getting the big hit? The Royals' team batting average is actually higher with runners in scoring position than it is with just their overall batting average. As a team, they're hitting 251 entering tonight. Runners in scoring position, they're hitting 256. The problem is they haven't been getting on base with runners in scoring position. They have not been, as you say, keeping the line moving. The team has a 335 on base percentage, which, hey, that'll play. Runners in scoring position, it's 311. And if you'd rather think about that less in terms of how often you're getting on base, think of it in this way. How often are you making outs? And the Royals are making outs about 2%, 2.5% more often with runners in scoring position than they are generally. So you add it all up, the Royals are 4-5, but there's nothing I've seen that creates consternation. Like, Chris Bubich wasn't great yesterday. He can win without his best stuff. We saw him do that against Minnesota in the home opener. I still think Chris Bubich long-term going to be okay. Lucas Erceg gave up a couple of runs that were costly. So did Matt Strahm yesterday. If both of those guys post their normal zeros, maybe that 8th inning rally for the Royals wins the game instead of just bringing them a run closer. But those guys have been really good. Other than that outing, I think they'll be fine. Again, established track record of success for those guys. Bobby and Vinny aren't hitting. You think Bobby and Vinny are going to hit? I think they're going to hit. I think they're going to be all right. So I obviously would like to see the Royals with a better record than 4-5 through their first 9 games. At the end of the day, that's the most important stat. I can throw all manner of numbers, both traditional and advanced sabermetric at you. End of the day, you want to win more than you lose. Royals haven't managed that their first 9 games. But it's a 9-game sample out of 162. And I'm not seeing anything on the trend line would suggest that, this Royals team might be worse than I had anticipated. It's 9 games. It's 6 tough ones out of the gate. At Atlanta, who's off to a good start, and with Milwaukee in town. That's a good team. And they've been on the wrong end of both of those series, but honestly, you look at the final scores, those games, a couple of those games could have gone either way. So I would hold off on raising the red flag. I would hold off on sounding any alarms. We'll see how the Royals look with 3 coming up at Cleveland, who's off to a fine start. In fact, leading the division by a game and a half. Speaking of tonight's game against Cleveland, we'll get a quick look at the lineups. Plus, we'll get your reaction. Again, the text line is 785-272-9429. Also, the live chat on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Matt Verderame is going to join us talk some football. We only got an hour and a half together today. Now it's about an hour left together today. So let's make the most of this time on this Monday here on 580 Sports Talk. .330 on 580 Sports Talk. We're just getting rolling on this Monday. Just because I'm sanguine about the Royals' slow start doesn't mean you have to be. And judging by the comments on the YouTube live chat, you are not. With Paul in the YouTube chat, Royals don't stink, but they don't smell like roses either. Tyler going even further in another direction. Says this looks like the worst sports season in Kansas City history, and he hit the panic button 4 games in. So that's the other side of it. It is frustrating to be. Yesterday's game in particular was a frustrating one to lose. Like, you come off a game like that where that felt like a very winnable baseball game, and it felt like, too, which was frustrating, I know, for Chris Bubich after the game. Every time the Brewers had a scoring opportunity, they cashed it. Every single time they had a chance to put a run on the board, they not only put a run on the board, they put a crooked number up. Put a crooked number on Strom in the 7th. They put a crooked number on Urseg in the 9th. They are a very opportunistic, pesky offensive baseball team. And they've started hot. They've come out of the gate swinging the bats really, really well. There's a reason they're 7-2. But also, it's a one-run game. You got the tying run on base in the 8th. And, okay, you don't get him in because he runs himself into an out. That's the second time you run yourself into an out on the bases. Still got a chance, 9-1-2 coming up in the 9th. In a one-run game, if you can keep it a one-run game, and the Royals couldn't. So yesterday's loss, I understand, was frustrating. That's the kind of loss, sticks in your craw a little bit. The good news about baseball is you always get another one the next day. The Royals have one coming up in about an hour and a half in Cleveland. First of 3 against the Guardians. Michael Wacha on the bump has yet to allow an earned run this season, making his 3rd start of the campaign, or 2nd start, I guess, of the campaign. As he will face a Cleveland lineup that will load up the lefties on him. Stephen Kwan batting leadoff. Major League Baseball's home run leader, Chase DeLauder, will bat 2nd. Then Jose Ramirez, Kyle Manzardo, and Rhys Hoskins, the heart of the order. Bo Naylor, C.J. Kafis, Gabriel Arias, and Brian Rocchio rounding out the Guardian 9 for their manager, Stephen Vogt. Royals roll the A lineup today. Garcia at 3rd, Witt at short, Pasquantino at 1st, Perez behind the plate hitting cleanup. Carter Jensen's the DH, Jonathan India at 2nd, Jack Caglione in right. Swayed a good bat. I'll tell you, if there's one thing that has been real positive out of the gate for the Royals, I've really liked Cags' at-bats. And he's getting some results. He's still hitting the ball hard, still has the great bat speed. Waiting on that first home run, but it'll come. Probably would have homered in that Wednesday game if it hadn't been so cold out. But Jack's at-bats have been good. Him and Carter Jensen, I think, are coming along, doing what you would want to see both of those guys doing in their first Aprils as major leaguers. Isaac Collins batting 8th in left field tonight, and Kyle Isbell back in there in center field. That's the 9 for Matt Quatrero tonight. Royals trying to even their record at 5-5 with a win. 5:10 first pitch, 4:30 pregame coverage here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. We're going to take a quick time out here on 580 Sports Talk. On the other side of this break, we are going to hear from our NFL insider. Matt Verderame will join us. And it's been a minute since we've talked to Matt, so plenty to catch up with after he attended the NFL's owners' meetings last week. We'll get his thoughts on that whole circus, plus everything else going on with the Chiefs and with regard to the NFL. That's coming up next. Our NFL insider, Matt Verderame, on 580 Sports Talk. We are joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline by Matt Verderame, our NFL insider from Sports Illustrated, SI.com. Also appears on That Football Show on the KC Sports Network and has his own Patreon you can subscribe to for more great insider and NFL conversation, The Matt Verderame Show. He joins us every Monday on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. Matt, how were the owners' meetings?
Warm. They were good. It was nice. It was a good time. I thought, listen, kind of quiet comparatively. Last year, the big fireworks or the push, whether or not that was going to go through. But it was good. A lot of talk about the 18-game schedule, the international push. But mostly a relatively quiet week in Arizona.
How confident would you say on a scale of 1 to 10 that owners are going to get that 18-game schedule with the next collective bargaining agreement?
Oh, a 10. I think they might get a 4 then, honestly, because the collective bargaining agreement that they have right now runs through 2030, through the 2030 season. In theory, you could have 5 more years before that comes up. And look, the players are going to push back. They're always going to want a little bit of a bigger piece of the pie. Right now, they're getting a little over 48% of their revenue. They'd probably want 49, 49 and a half. The NFL is going to push back a little bit. But in the end, it's more money for everybody. The players are going to get an extra game check, so they prorate the salaries. The more revenue for the league means the salary cap is going to go up, which means more money again for the players' coffers. It's going to be more money. And now you may get the star guys in the league, right? Like, let's say Travis Kelce is 30 years old. He might be the kind of guy who's, look, I don't want to play another game. I make enough. But these guys who are the bottom 90% of the league who are making toward the minimum or, under $1 million bucks, they're going to be, hell yeah, give me that check, right? God knows there's an appetite for it with the TV and the streaming partners. The owners want it. It'll help for international markets because there's more games that put out in the international market. I will be stunned if we close the decade we're not playing it.
Matt Verderame covers the National Football League for Sports Illustrated, SI.com, and joins us here on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. He is our NFL insider on the program. Matt, big news for the Chiefs last week was the NFL has closed their investigation into receiver Rashee Rice and determined that at this time there is no finding that would warrant a punishment or a suspension under the personal conduct policy. Do you think the Chiefs kind of always felt like this was the direction things were heading, or does this qualify as maybe a pleasant surprise as these things go for Brett Veach, Andy Reid and company?
Well, knowing the way the league works, I'm sure they've been in contact with the NFL. And as the NFL went through the investigation, I'm sure the Chiefs monitored that with the league and, checked in periodically. So they probably had an idea it was headed that direction. That being said, look, 2 things can be true at once. From a football perspective, you're very relieved because Rashee Rice, for all of his issues, he is a legitimate number 1 receiver in the NFL. If you go through the exercise of who would you rather have, he probably falls between number 15 and 20 as a receiver. He is that level player. On the other hand, he signed for 1 year only. Worthy is signed for 2 more years, the 5th-year option on the back end, they can pick up or decline. Thornton signed for 2 more years. Royals is signed for 3 years, but you have no idea what you're going to get out of him. This is not a position group that the Chiefs can feel awesome about, even which is certainly better, but not great. And I don't say this to be glib or smart or anything, but dead seriously. It is April 6th. You have 5 months essentially until the season ends. You have no idea what's going to happen with Rashee Rice off the field over the next 5 months. There's nothing right now that the NFL feels is essential. You don't know if there's going to be another TMZ story in a week. His career has been checkered with all kinds of stuff off the field. So I think if you're Brett Veach, it's the draft approach. You still have to be thinking, hey, we might need a guy who plays real snaps this year, not 10% of them, 40, 50, 60% of the snaps. We might need that guy. Plus, the injury histories on all their top 3 receivers are meaningful. So I still think the Chiefs need to invest in that position sooner rather than later in the draft.
Do you think the Chiefs, like most teams, are sort of in a roster holding pattern up until the draft, or do you sense that there might be some movement, even if it's not extreme across the league, but a little bit of movement in second wave or third wave free agency before the draft comes along for teams to maybe patch a hole or two?
I think if the Chiefs got a real good price on a player that they like, they move. But I think for the most part, the league is in a holding pattern because, look, you want to see at this point who you get in the draft. You want to see if you can fill out certain positions of need in the draft. If you can, that's ideal. If you can't, like let's say the Chiefs, let's just say they go into this draft and their number one need in their mind is an edge rusher, which I think it probably is. And they go into this draft and Bain and Bailey are gone at 9 and they end up taking a non-edge rusher, whoever it is, fill in the blank. And then they get to 29 and maybe they want an edge rusher, but maybe there's a guy there they feel like they just can't pass up, an Avion Fidel, like a Kenyon Sadiq. Again, fill in the blank with the guys who are non-edge. Then maybe you come out of the draft and go, hey, you know what? We didn't really fill that position the way we wanted to. Hey, Cam Jordan, come on down. Hey, Von Miller, we need you for 1 year to come out and have 8 sacks, whatever the case may be. And that obviously holds true for other positions. I think the other thing is, too, to factor in, once you get past a certain date after the draft, it doesn't count against your compensatory pick formula anymore. And teams care about that. So I do think for the most part, unless you're signing a guy to the vet minimum, I think you're probably waiting until after the draft because that way you know what the roster composition looks like and you're not worried about it taking away a draft pick in 2027.
We just spoke about the Chiefs wide receivers, and Andy Reid made some headlines. He told some of the assembled media out there at the owners' meetings that he thinks the Chiefs are in good shape at wide receiver, particularly after they brought back Tyquan Thornton. Now, there's obviously some posturing going on there, and obviously some of the notion that, of course, a coach can be publicly supportive of his guys. So I want to narrow it down to Thornton, who has re-signed, and Xavier Worthy coming off of the injury-plagued season that he had last year. Who is more likely of those two players to sort of fulfill the vision that the Chiefs might have for them in 2026? Is it Worthy with the bounce back, or is it Thornton in a more expanded role in the offense?
I think it could be both, but I think it's Worthy. Because, look, we're sometimes a prisoner of the moment, the most recent thing we've seen, that's just human nature. Xavier Worthy, at the end of his rookie season, we all sat here and said, that guy's going to be a star. That guy is going to be a really good player. I'm not saying all pro, but, he's going to be a guy who pushes for 1,000-yard season, stuff like that. And everybody thought throughout all of camp, he's about to take off. And through no fault of his own, 3 plays into the season, his Hall of Fame tight end doesn't run the route at the right depth. It happens. What are you going to do? It's a freak thing. Kelsey slams into him. And Worthy just was never healthy. I mean, ever. He played the whole year with a hurt shoulder. He played most of the year with a bum ankle. And he still was reasonably productive, but he just was never the guy that everybody thought he was going to be. I truly believe with Worthy, new receivers coach, Rice out on the field. Worthy's literally never had a starting role on the team when Rice has also been healthy next month. Ever. So I do think that will help too. You'll pull coverage away. I would not be surprised if Worthy has a really good year. Whereas I think Thornton, not that he can't, but I think Thornton's more of a defined role. They want Tyquan Thornton. Hey man, get down the field, get vertical, and make a play down. And that's a meaningful role. I think Worthy's role could be more expanded.
Matt Verderame is our guest, joining us here on 580 Sports Talk. Our NFL insider covers the league for Sports Illustrated and SI.com. Take a look at some headlines around the league, Matt. Today it was reported that the standout defensive tackle for the New York Giants, Dexter Lawrence, has requested a trade and says he won't be participating in the offseason workout program for the Giants next week. How realistic is it that a team could meet the Giants' asking price for Lawrence at this stage? And do you think he moves before the draft?
It's tough because we don't have a lot of time. 28 years old isn't old, but you're not on a rookie deal either. He's making a good chunk of change now. He obviously wants a new deal, and I would imagine, look, if you look at the D tackle market, he probably wants around $30 million a year. Well, you're going to have to, according to I believe it's Jordan Raynon, who was reporting this Giants beat report for ESPN, put out there that the market would be a late first, early second. I would agree with Jordan. Not that I did any reporting out of it driving all day, but I would assume that is the correct market value. I would think that's fair. How many teams are willing to give up that kind of capital and pay him, I don't know, $90 million over 3 years? Maybe you guarantee 75, maybe it's even 4 and 120, and you guarantee 75. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of draft capital. Look, I think if you're the Giants, if you are going to trade him, you'd rather do it sooner than later. But at the same point, the 2027 draft is so highly regarded. You're probably also a little more willing than normal to wait and say, look, we got to wait. That's fine. I think, look, if they get the asking, some team calls them up and says, we'll give you pick, whatever, 25 for, okay, yeah. But if they don't get the price they want, I think because of how well the draft is regarded and how close we are to the draft now, I think they would be willing to wait it out and say, if we got to take this to the summer, we can do that.
Who should want to trade for Dexter Lawrence? What team would he make the most sense on that could meet that asking price and afford to pay him what he's owed and maybe something beyond that in the form of an extension?
Yeah, I think, look, it's probably a team that has some cap space, that's a contender, that has a need. I wasn't doing this on purpose, but pick 25 is the Bears. The Bears make a lot of sense. The Bears are a team. Look, you got Montez Sweat. You need more pass rush. You're a 4-3 team. You're a contender. You've got a lot of money. A team like that, they'd make a lot of sense. If Buffalo was still playing a 4-3, then they don't have the cap space necessarily, but like a team like that, I think if you're a team like the Raiders, the Titans, the Browns, I think you're too far away. You're way too far away. It doesn't make sense. But these teams, maybe it's a team trying to go from fringe playoff team to contender status. Maybe you look around the league and you say, okay, maybe a team that was like one and done a year ago or close to it. I think those types of teams make the most sense because it's not just about the draft pick. You have to also go out and give up a lot of money, a lot of future financial capital. So it's not as easy as just, hey, we'll give you a first or second round. It's also how much are you willing to part with in terms of financial dollars.
Last one for Matt Verderame, our NFL insider here on 580 Sports Talk. Kirk Cousins signing with the Las Vegas Raiders. He'll be the veteran mentor for the anticipated number 1 overall pick, Fernando Mendoza. More guaranteed money for Cousins. 11 straight years he has been fully guaranteed, or his contract has been fully guaranteed. Kirk Cousins' agent, I had to look this up, is a gentleman named Mike McCartney of Vayner Sports. Can we waive the waiting period and put him directly in the Pro Football Hall of Fame?
Listen, I don't mind saying this. I know Mike well. Mike is one of the best guys in the business. He used to work on the NFL side of things, work on the team side. His dad won a national championship in Colorado as the head coach in the 90s. Mike, in a world of look, it's cutthroat at all costs, get what you need to get. Mike is one of the best guys there is in the industry. I am all for a first ballot Hall of Fame, Mike McCartney. Put him in tomorrow. Anytime I say it, I always make fun of it. It's unbelievable. Like Kirk Cousins is paid like Tom Brady. Everybody's going to sign with Mike McCartney. It is, and look, Mike does. He reps Joe Thuney, still reps Joe Thuney. He got him to Kansas City, but he's done a lot of big deals. But Cousins is just a gravy train that never stops. Really is.
Matt Verderame is our guest. He is our NFL insider on this program. Joins us every Monday on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. Check out Matt's work at Sports Illustrated, SI.com, That Football Show on the KC Sports Network, and his own Patreon you can subscribe to as well, The Matt Verderame Show. Matt, it's always a pleasure. We'll do it again next Monday.
Thanks a lot. Take care.
That is Matt Verderame. We'll take a break. We'll come back with the good, bad, and ugly from the weekend that was to wrap up this first hour of 580 Sports Talk. Let's do the good, the bad, and the ugly from the weekend that was. Got a lot more good than bad or ugly, to be real honest with you. Good, first Easter egg hunt for my now 22-month-old son, 22 months as of today, in fact. So first Easter egg hunt in the Lucero family backyard. The Easter bunny pulled off pretty good hiding spots for the eggs, and Asher had a blast. He had a wonderful time finding the eggs and putting them in his basket and got lots of goodies from the Easter bunny and just had a great time. We got great video of him turning around, and every time he'd see one, he'd go, more egg, and go and get the egg, more egg, and turn around and go get another egg. It was just the best. It was the absolute best. Enjoyed that very much. And then got together with some family on Saturday, and this side, my wife's side of the family, they had some big trucks on their property, and Asher right now is made up with big trucks. That is his favorite thing in the whole world. He got to go check out all these big trucks and sit in the cockpit of a bulldozer, and just had, again, he was over the moon. He got to sit on a motorcycle. He was just the happiest kid. So my kiddo had a great weekend, and you're always happy when your kids are happy. And so nothing could have made the weekend worse for me after how my boy got to spend his Saturday and Sunday. Now he's a little under the weather, which is unfortunate today, but he had a great weekend. Also from the weekend, good. Eli Morgan, 3-inning save on Saturday. That's my guy. I'm excited for him. Really glad he made a good first impression in Royal Blue, and hope he's back up with the big club real soon. And also good Saturday, huge wins for the Nuggets and Avalanche. It was a great Kroenke double day. The Stan Kroenke-owned teams pulling off wins. The Nuggets and Avs win like playoff caliber games on Saturday, and I enjoyed that a great deal. The bad, I suppose, would be well, I'll say the bad. Yeah, the kiddo's under the weather. That's kind of a drag. Ugly for me, Tyler Tolbert getting picked off first base in the 8th yesterday. Can't happen. If you're going to be a pinch runner, that's your role on the team. Essentially, your primary role is to be the pinch runner. When you come in the game, everybody knows you're going. Well, you can't get picked off. Sometimes you're going to get thrown out. Sometimes the catcher's going to make a good throw, and they're going to get you. But you can't get picked off. You get picked off, you fell asleep. It's bad base running. You should never get picked off. Should never get picked off. So that was my ugly because that cost the Royals a chance. Maybe they don't get the run all the way in from first. Maybe Tolbert gets thrown out trying to steal, and that's just, that's baseball. But the 1-run game then became a 3-run game, and the Royals drop another Sunday rubber game against the Brewers. We'll take a timeout for the top of the hour. When we come back, we're only got one more half hour to spend with each other. So we're going to talk some college hoops and then wrap up the show before Royals baseball at 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Final half hour of a shortened edition of 580 Sports Talk on this Monday. Dan Lucero hanging out with you here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com. And we are live on video on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. Thanks for being here. Hope you'll join us for some Royals baseball tonight on the Sports Voice of Kansas. 4:30 pregame from the Royals Baseball Network and a 5:10 first pitch in Cleveland tonight as the Royals face the Guardians for the first time in 2026. First of a three-game set. Michael Wacha and Tanner Bybee, the scheduled starting pitchers. Again, a reminder that tomorrow's game had previously been scheduled for 5:10 Central Time, but apparently it's going to be too cold to play baseball in Cleveland tomorrow night. It's also going to be too cold to play during the day, but at least the sun might be out. It won't be dark, won't be at night. So anyhow, tomorrow's previously scheduled night game is going to be a day game instead. So rather than a 4:30 pregame and a 5:10 first pitch tomorrow, there'll be an 11:30 a.m. pregame and a 12:10 first pitch. This means more work for your 580 Sports Talk crew. We thought we'd have half a show tomorrow. Instead, we'll have just about a full show probably for you. But, hey, there will be no shortage of things to talk about on the Tuesday 580 Sports Talk. So we'll look forward to having the full time with you tomorrow following a little Royals day baseball. Again, 4:30 pregame, 5:10 first pitch here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. If you would like to hear the national championship game tonight between Michigan and UConn, you can hear that on our sister station, the Big 94.5 Country, 94.5 FM. Michigan and UConn, the Westwood One broadcast of that game with Kevin Kugler on the call from Indianapolis. Pregame coverage starting at 6:30. Again, that's over on our sister station, the Big 94.5 Country. So if you're looking for the Royals, don't touch your dial. We got them right here. But if you want to hear the basketball game tonight, it's over on the Big 94.5 Country. And we hope that you will tune in to hear the hoops. I'll have some thoughts on that game here in just a little bit this hour. Also got some big picture thoughts on the transfer portal, which is starting to get more and more full, even as it's still one day before it actually officially opens. Portal's not open yet, opens tomorrow. But players are signaling their intent, let's say, to enter the transfer portal, including, as of today, the entire Kansas front court. So we'll talk about that. We'll have some thoughts on that. And, of course, your interaction with the show here in this final, now 21 minutes. The text line is 785-272-9429, and you can leave comments on the live chat on our YouTube stream. Again, our YouTube channel is 580 Sports Talk. And speaking of that text line, 785-272-9429, it's time for another keyword. We're giving away $1,000 a day here at 580 WIBW. And if you would like to be entered, all you have to do is text this hour's keyword to 785-272-9429. You have until 5 o'clock to text this keyword to that number, and you will be registered for a chance to win $1,000 today. We're giving away $1,000 a day, every day, Monday to Friday, next 4 weeks. Who couldn't use $1,000, right? So this hour's keyword is phone. 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 Phone is what you're going to use to text that word phone to 785-272-9429. Text the word phone to 785-272-9429. Only need to text it once. Don't need anything else but the word. But you text that word to that text line number, 785-272-9429. And you will be entered this hour. You can enter every hour, once an hour, every hour with a different keyword. And hopefully at the end of the day, yours is the one we pick to win $1,000. here on 580 WIBW. You can also text that number your thoughts on the show today as well. Don't be afraid to do that either. The text line is open to all. You can do both. You can text the keyword, and then you can send another text that, I don't know, give me your prediction for the national title game tonight. I'm curious who y'all think is going to win. 785-272-9429. Who do you think is going to win tonight between Michigan and UConn? On our 580 Sports Talk Bracket Challenge, there are 2 brackets with a chance to win. If Michigan wins, then the bracket Coach K Hates Rats will be our winner. And if UConn wins, our winner will be ESPN fan bunch of numbers. So it's those 2 brackets are the only ones with a chance to win. I had Arizona winning the national title. I had them beating Illinois in the title game. So I had the alternate universe championship matchup, I guess, that I had picked. So I've washed out. Spencer and I actually finished tied. If you were curious among the 580 Sports Talk crew how it shook out, Spencer and I tied. We had the same number of points, even though we got there a different way. I predict more of the Final Four teams than he did, but he did a little better in the first couple of rounds than I did. So we ended up tied with the same score in the 580 Sports Talk Bracket Challenge. Brendan was, let's call him a distant third and leave it at that for the sake of being nice. A distant third. So that's later on tonight. Again, you can hear the game on our sister station, the Big 94.5 Country, with pregame coverage starting at 6:30. More thoughts on that here in just a second. I did want to talk about the news of the day. It is the transfer portal. It opens at midnight tonight, which is crazy, right? Like midnight, I think midnight Eastern. Officially, there are only 170 players right now that are in the portal. But by April 7th of last year, there were over 1,900 players in the portal. So there are going to be a lot of players who officially enter the portal, but we are getting word in the last handful of days about players who intend to enter the transfer portal. And for Kansas, that includes their entire front court. We knew Flory Badunga. He was one of the first players, first major players. And there are a lot of people who believe no matter what happens from here, he's going to be the best player in the transfer portal. He announced his intention to declare for the draft and enter the portal. So he maybe doesn't play college basketball next year. I think he should. I kind of think he will. I don't think it's a coin flip's chance or better that he ends up back at KU. There's always a chance. I didn't think he was coming back to KU last year, and he did. So there's always a chance. But right now, doesn't feel like he's going to play at Kansas next year. Bryson Tiller and Paul Mbia, so the rest of KU's front court, also today announcing their intent to enter the transfer portal being reported. And Elmarco Jackson as well. He's not a front court player, but he also announced his intent to enter the transfer portal. So it's going to be a very different looking Kansas basketball roster next year. And I am, again, sympathetic. I want to state again for the record that I am sympathetic to the opinion, the feeling that the lack of player retention in the transfer portal era is not good for the college basketball fan. Let me rephrase. It's not good for the fan of a college basketball team. You can argue that it's not good for the broader college basketball universe. I don't necessarily think I agree with that. It's certainly better for the players because they're getting paid, which they always should have been. They're getting paid. They're getting to wind up where they want to wind up. And in a lot of cases, players end up in better circumstances than the ones that they had originally committed to, or players get a chance to play for higher profile teams after starring at a lower level which means we get to see more of them in college basketball, which means we get to see more of them on bigger stages in college basketball. I suppose it would have been nice to see how good UAB could have been this year with Yaxel Lendeborg, but hasn't it been a lot more fun watching him play for Michigan? I've enjoyed watching him play for Michigan a lot more because I watch Michigan play because they're on TV all the time. UAB's not. Wasn't it more fun, Kansas fans, to have Melvin Council on your team than have him whiling away in the Atlantic 10 at St. Bonaventure? Wasn't that a lot more fun? Didn't that make this KU season a lot more fun, having Melvin Council on the team? Absolutely it did. So I think the portal is good for college basketball, like capital C college basketball. And I think portal is obviously great for players because you get a chance to get into a better situation and get a chance to make a little more money. And these players should always have been making money. It was never moral. It was never just to keep these kids from getting paid. But you can't tell the players without a scorecard any longer. And if you are a fan of a college basketball team, if you're coming at this just from the perspective of, I'm a Kansas fan, or I'm a K-State fan, or I'm a Texas Tech fan, or I'm an Iowa State fan, or you're a fan of a certain team, and guys that you become attached to because you can do it even just in the course of one season, right? Again, Melvin Council's a great example here. But you get attached to guys, and then they dip. They just leave. You don't get to see them develop and grow. You don't get to see their whole story be told in your uniform. And you don't have a right to that as a fan. You don't have a right to that. But it is disappointing that you get to see that less and less. It will be a huge bummer if Flory Badunga is playing college basketball for a team that is not the Kansas Jayhawks in 2026-27. Not just because I think he's a good player, and I think he's a great defensive player, but because we have gotten to see him grow into who I think is the best defensive player in the country this last year over the last two seasons in Lawrence. And selfishly, you want to see that story continue in Lawrence. And again, look, guys, Kansas isn't going to be outbid. Kansas isn't going to lose out on a player because it doesn't have the money. But like everybody else in the country, you have to decide how you're going to allocate your resources. So if you're a Kansas fan today, ask yourself this question. If you're going to pay superstar NIL money to one guy, and most programs can probably only really afford to pay that superstar money to one guy, who do you want superstar money to go to? Do you want it to be a tweener center who's defensively dominant but offensively limited? Or would you rather that money go to the top high school player who gives you scoring and physical size out on the wing and helps, in an ideal world, an offense that has not been good enough the last 3 years get back to a high level at Kansas? Talking about Tyron Stokes, obviously. If it's a binary, one of those two guys gets paid like a superstar, Stokes, to me, is a superstar. He will be a superstar freshman. Flory Badunga is a great defensive player. Is that a superstar? I don't think it is. I don't. And that might be the crossroads at which KU finds itself right now. That, look, Flory Badunga is a fabulous defensive player. Can't really get his own offense. Doesn't have a reliable post move. You'd love to see it develop. It can develop. I'm not saying he's only ever going to be this good offensively. The other part of it, too, is you see some of the guys that are roaming the paint in this Final Four. Some of these giants that are out there, Ade Mara, the big kids that Illinois had, the kid whose name I'm going to pronounce, and I've already forgotten, at Arizona. Those dudes are 7 foot, 7'3" in Mara's case. Flory is 6'10", and I'm using air quotes. They say he's 6'10". If he's really 6'10", I think he might get drafted, and this is a moot point. But he might not be 6'10". And if he's not 6'10", then he's kind of a tweener. And that's tough. That's tough to decide we're going to make a tweener center the centerpiece of our entire basketball team. Centerpiece of your defense? Hell yes. Centerpiece of your whole basketball team? And you're paying him as such? That's a different conversation. So if that's what ends up happening, kind of feels like that's what's happening, I think Kansas is making a smarter decision and pivoting and saying, okay, well, if we're going to hand out, and again, we don't know, right? But whatever superstar money in the portal looks like, $4 million, $5 million, $7 million, whatever that looks like, we're going to go give that to somebody who's going to impact us on the offensive end, as well as hopefully helping us on defense. But I'm not saying that as if to say, man, it good riddance to Flory Badunga. That is not what I am saying. And Kansas should try to keep him. But if it's a binary, if it's one or the other, I don't blame him for going in another direction. Because you can win in college basketball with a traditional big, a traditional five-man. You don't need your five-man to be stepping out and banging threes. Like Terrace Reed is playing in the national championship game tonight. That's a traditional big if ever I've seen one. Some of Bill Self's greatest modern successes have come with a traditional big man. Udoka, David McCormick. Udoka's the best player on a team that probably wins the national title in 2020 if not for COVID. McCormick is the starting center and a national champion. But you get burnt when you have tweeners. And I think Flory might just be a tweener at this stage. If that's how they feel, then I think that's how you get to where things appear to be ending up there. Kansas State also going to lose some players to the portal. PJ Haggerty is going portaling. Abdi Bashir, David Castillo as well. Looks like Andre Kostic is returning. The source on that is Andre Kostic, who posted a graphic earlier today on social media that read, "I'm back," and the caption, "Unfinished business." Elias Rapiek, for what it's worth, shared that announcement on his Instagram. What that means, who can say? But it does seem like there is going to be at least some player retention on the K-State side. It won't be an entirely new roster. And Kostic, to me, is the kind of player that should thrive when it comes to the three-point friendly system that Casey Alexander is going to bring to Manhattan. We'll take our time out here. When we come back, my final word will be a preview and a prediction of tonight's national championship game. We'll put a wrap on 580 Sports Talk after this. No, that's not a mistake. We really are wrapping up 580 Sports Talk this early so we can bring you Royals baseball, 4:30 pregame coverage, 5:10 first pitch from Cleveland game 1 of 3 in the series. My final word has to do with the national championship game tonight. UConn and Michigan for all the marbles. Yeah, I picked Arizona going into the tournament. I thought they were the best team all year. Watched a lot of them. I could not believe what Michigan did to them. They just hit them with a sack of doorknobs for 40 minutes and did most of it with their best player, Yaxel Lendeborg, off the floor, dealing first with foul trouble and then what looked like a pretty gnarly leg injury that ended up not being severe enough to keep him out of the game and not severe enough, it sounds like, to keep him out of tonight's game, though it did have him moving around out there like me, which is not encouraging. I'm a little worried about that. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't. But that was impressive. That was as impressive a performance as any team has put forth in this tournament. It follows in a long line of impressive performances that Michigan has put forth in this tournament. They are the betting favorite tonight. I think they're going to be the popular pick tonight against a UConn team that still kind of feels a little bit fortunate to be here. That 19-point rally against Duke, the half-court heave that put them into the Final Four. And then against Illinois, be honest about that game, that was really just a game of three-point roulette that UConn won. They hit a ton of threes, and Illinois didn't. And that kind of proved to be the difference in the basketball game. They got their own injury concern. Solo Ball was at his foot in a boot yesterday. Sounds like he's going to play, but he may be limited as well. So Michigan's going to be the popular pick. And I thought I was going to pick Michigan. All of you on the text line, by the way. A couple texts from 785 picking Michigan. I'm picking UConn tonight. I'm going against the grain. And I might sound really, really stupid when we reconvene tomorrow and Michigan's won the title by 20 plus again, and everybody gets to point and laugh at me tomorrow. And that's fine. I've been wrong before, and I'll be wrong again. But I'm picking UConn tonight. And the reason I'm picking UConn tonight, I'll give you two. Number one, I think they've got the better coach. And that's not that I don't like Dusty May. We have to explore the possibility that Dan Hurley is just generationally great at this. Maybe 3 titles in 4 years will convince you. He's a bit of a cartoon character with all the rage and the anger and the profanity. But he's won 2 titles, been to 3 Final Fours in 4 years. They got a chance to go win another national title. 3 in 4 years in this era is unbelievable stuff. Kind of stuff we thought we'd never see again. So I think they got the better coach. And this is the reason, X's and O's wise, I think they're going to do it. They run a lot of screens to get guys shots. And I think they're going to wear out Michigan's big men. They're going to make them play defense on the perimeter and just keep running guys off the screens and getting threes. You saw the plan for them against Illinois. A lot of pin downs, a lot of threes. I think that's going to be another fact for them. I think they're going to get a lot of good looks. I think they're going to wear Michigan down. I'm a lot more concerned about Lendeborg's injury than I am about Ball's injury. I think UConn wins tonight. I think they pull off the upset, and I think they raise their 3rd national championship trophy in 4 years. We're back tomorrow after Royals baseball. The Royals are next. I'm Dan Lucero. This is 580 Sports Talk. Good night.